The government of Argentina signed agreements with the governors of the provinces of the Norte Grande to generate some 10,000 new jobs in renewable energy projects. In the United States, Democratic U.S. Senator Bob Menendez of New Jersey defied federal corruption charges and the erosion of Democratic support in his home state. In Libya, the General Prosecutor's Office announced the arrest of 8 officials and former officials as part of an investigation into the collapse of the Wadi Derna and Abu Mansour dams following torrential rains earlier this month. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Rosabal from the teleSUR in Havana, Cuba, bringing winning news. Venezuela's National Electoral Council had a meeting with members of the National Electoral Commission to discuss a proposal to provide technical support for opposition primaries. During the meeting, the two bodies agreed to set up a joint commission between the Venezuelan Electoral Council and the opposition's unitary platform. According to the parties, the commission will deal with the technical aspects of the opposition's electoral process planned for October. The president of the National Electoral Council, Elvis Amoroso, assured that during the meeting it was agreed to start discussing the technical aspects of the table on Tuesday, September 26.
A very professional exchange meeting, and it was agreed to install a mixed commission between the National Electoral Council and the unitary platform to start discussing as of September the 26th all the technical aspects of an electoral process.
The president of opposition party's platform in Venezuela, Jesus Maria Casal, recalled that on June 5, they requested a joint technical meeting to ask for technical assistance to the country's National Electoral Council.
Today, we have responded to the invitation of the CNE. On June 5, we requested a joint technical meeting, which was in operation at that time, in order to verify the conditions under which technical assistance could be requested. We have attended today to this invitation, and tomorrow we will also attend this joint commission to have an interlocution to advance the process of the primaries.
The government of Argentina signed agreements with the governors of the provinces of the Norte Grande to generate some 10,000 new jobs in renewable energy projects. The Secretary of Energy, Flavia Bollón, stated that with the new agreements signed with the governors, progress is being made in the installation of 2,500 megawatts of renewable energies that will generate 10,000 new jobs, in addition to local labor. The official emphasized that these agreements arise as a consequence of the management carried out by the Minister of Economy, Sergio Massa, and that they will allow each province to amplify its own productive potential. According to Royer, Massa's modern perspective is to give way to new technologies to allow a federal development and to abandon the centralized model of government. Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva said on Monday that Vietnam has expressed interest in a trade deal with Mercosur bloc of Brazil, Argentina, Paraguay, and Uruguay, adding he will bring the topic up for discussion with those countries. Lula, who is currently chairing the group, said he wants to bring Mercosur members closer to Asian countries and highlighted there is a room for trade with Vietnam to grow as he welcomed Vietnamese Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh in Brasilia. The move comes as the Mercosur bloc tries to finalize a long-awaited trade deal with the European Union, which the lefty leader has been pushing to be concluded by the end of this year. Mercosur and the EU reached an agreement in 2019 after 2 decades of negotiation, and it has been on hold due to environmental concerns.
We also discussed Vietnam's interest in concluding a trade agreement with Mercosur. I'm going to raise the issue with our Mercosur partners, taking advantage of the Brazilian presidency. I'm sure it's possible to move forward. It's in our interest to bring Mercosur closer to Asia. The countries of Southeast Asia account for almost 6.5% of the world's GDP in purchasing power parity. Brazilian exports to all Southeast Asian countries already amount to half of what we export to the European Union.
The former president of Bolivia, Evo Morales, announced on Sunday his intention to run again for the presidency of the country in 2025. In a message published on his social network X, Morales wrote that his decision obeys the requests of the militant family and of the brothers and sisters who attended the rally throughout the country to be a candidate for the presidency of Bolivia. The indigenous leader and former lefty president added that he will fight to be heard the struggles of his ancestor who taught him never to give up. For his part, the president, Luis Alcer, in power since November 2020, said that the religion matter is not yet on the agenda. Let's take a short break, but remember, you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you find news in different formats, new dates, and more. All the stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back. Social movements gathered in front of the Cuban diplomatic mission in Washington, United States, to denounce the terrorist attack that took place on the afternoon of September 24. Several organizations have gathered at the Cuban embassy in Washington after the terrorist attacks last Sunday. The foreign minister of Venezuela and the representative of Mexico also sent a communique expressing their solidarity with the Cuban island and condemning the attack. Finally, the Cuban Foreign Minister Bruno Rodriguez said that there have been no casualties after the attack and that the aggression was being investigated.
We're here today at the Cuban Embassy in support of the Cuban people. There was an attack on the embassy last night. My name is Brianna. I'm with the Diaspora Palante Collective, a group of Boricuas in the diaspora, fighting for the liberation of Puerto Rico, but we also understand that Cuban people and Puerto Rican people have a history of solidarity and support, and we want to maintain that and fight for both of our countries' liberation and sovereignty.
In this context, the member state of the Bolivarian Alliance for the People of America issued a communique condemning the terrorist attack against the diplomatic mission of the Republic of Cuba in the United States. The attack took place on September 24, 2023. The communique urges compliance with the international law and international conventions and supports the measures taken by the government of Cuba in response to this aggression. Furthermore, it is stressed that Cuba should not be included in the list of countries that allegedly sponsor international terrorism when it is the victim of these attacks. Democratic U.S. Senator Bob Menendez of New Jersey on Monday defied federal corruption allegations and the erosion of diplomatic support in his home states by claiming that the cash found in his homes came from his savings accounts and was intended for emergencies. Before the press and without answering questions, Menendez said he believed he will be exonerated and that prosecutors sometimes get it wrong. The Democratic senator did not address whether he will run for re-election next year. He and his wife, Nadine Menendez, are accused of accepting hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash, gold, and a lottery card from 3 New Jersey businessmen for several corrupt acts. According to the indictment, Menendez used his influence to meddle in 3 criminal cases, lobbied U.S. agricultural regulators to protect a partner's business interests, and used his position as chairman of Foreign Relations Committee to influence U.S. policy in Egypt.
I recognize this will be the biggest fight yet, but as I have stated throughout this whole process, I firmly believe that when all the facts are presented, not only will I be exonerated, but I still will be the New Jersey's senior senator.
The Greek Parliament approved labor reform promoted by the conservative government of Kyriakos Mitsotakis, which imposes, among other measures, working hours of up to 13 hours. After a 24-hour general strike and several mobilizations in the country, the parliament approved a reform that extends the work week to 6 days and up to 13 hours a day, and will also allow companies to vary the working hours to adapt them to the company's production needs. The approval of these reforms also stipulates that an employee can be dismissed in the first year of employment without prior notice and any remuneration. Finally, this new rule allows workers to voluntarily hold a second job for a maximum of 5 hours a day, alongside their main activity of 8 hours a day, which would add to 13 hours a day. Hungarian Minister Viktor Orbán on Monday said that his country was deceived by the European Union plan to allow Ukrainian grain to transit across Hungary after shipments across the Black Sea were hindered by the ongoing conflict. Addressing the opening autumn session of Hungary's parliament, Orbán said that Hungary had opened a solidarity corridor across its territory to allow Ukrainian grain to be transported to countries in Africa. But that those shipments had been sold in Hungary for lower prices, pressuring domestic producers. Orbán's comments came days after Ukraine filed a complaint at the World Trade Organization against Hungary, Poland, and Slovakia for banning imports of Ukrainian farm products. The Business Forum of Africa discussed the development of trade and economic cooperation between Russia and Africa. Among the participants of the Business Forum were representatives of the business community from more than a dozen African countries and Russia. Let's see more details in the following report of the BRICS reporter Alexei Pimenov.
The potential of the African market, the peculiarities of working on the continent, from logistics to state support and other topics were discussed by participants in the Open Africa Business Forum. It took place in Moscow.
It is a continuation of the second Russian-African summit, where together with the partners from the African continent, we discussed the pool of problems that exist in the cooperation and development of trade and economic cooperation between Russia and Africa. We are identifying specific problems, and we will work together with our entrepreneurs to solve these problems in order to bring Africa closer.
More than 100 participants, representatives of the business community from more than a dozen African countries, and of course Russia. The focus is on the creation of joint ventures in mining, processing, and other sectors of the economy, food security.
Holding such as a forum is what is needed for the rapid development of cooperation with Russia in the economic sphere for the benefit of both the inhabitants of Africa and the Russians themselves.
Mixed format, in person and via video link, several thematic sessions on the agenda, investment, trade, and industrial organization.
It is generally believed that one should always come to Africa with investments, but today I have learned once again that coming to Africa with technology, coming and developing production locally is probably one of the most direct ways to open Africa as a market.
One of the prerequisites for this, the availability of financing for projects, reliable mutual payment systems. A number of participants are convinced that a joint bank can solve such problems.
Today, Africa definitely needs a bank with Russian participation in order to develop major infrastructure projects. Our colleagues and I are now looking at several banks for cooperation. I think that such a bank could emerge.
According to experts, priority infrastructure projects include the construction and development of ports and improving the efficiency of logistics. Cooperation with Africa is a task of national importance, they said at the meeting. Russia would create an accelerator to support companies entering the African market. First of all, high-tech companies, for example, from the IT sector.
Because it is quickest for them to enter. They do not need to localize. They just need to find a distributor, a dealer. The most important task of an accelerator is to help adapt the product. That is, to have expert judgment. And when they have adapted the products, to help with communication channels and building clear distributors, dealers, and so on.
The Institute of Business Ambassadors also helps to build communications. It is being set up by the public organization Business Russia. It became the organizer of the forum. It organizes such meetings, seminars, and webinars with participants from African countries on a regular basis.
We have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel on teleSUR English, There you will be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcastings, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's more recent events. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back. The Libyan Attorney General's office announced on Monday the arrest of 8 officials and former officials as part of the investigation taking place into the collapse of the Wadi Nerma and Abu Mansour dams following torrential rains earlier this month. Both dams collapsed on September 11 amid the passage of Storm Danielle, flooding a quarter of the city of Nerda, destroying entire neighborhoods and sweeping thousands of people into the sea. The deaths are ranging from more than 4,000 to more than 11,000 people, according to various government officials and aid agencies, while numerous life bodies remain under the rubble or missing in Mediterranean waters. A statement from the Attorney General's office posted on Facebook explains that 7 officials and former officials of the Water Resources Authority and the Dams Management Authority were questioned on Sunday and accused for mismanagement and negligence that contributed to the collapse of the dams. In Libya, emergency teams recovered 23 more bodies in Derna as a result of the storm that occurred last September 11th.
Regarding today, the number of bodies that have been recovered and buried is 23 bodies in the city of Derna, bringing the total number to 3,868 documented cases with the Ministry of Health.
In South Africa, authorities said that heavy rains caused damage in the southern region of Western Cape. Local government representative, Environmental Affairs and Development Planning, Anton Bradell, reported that 1 person was swept away as a result of floodwaters overflowing. The country's meteorological service issued a level 9 warning announcing that the impact of the inclement weather was expected to be severe. From a material standpoint, officials are currently most concerned about major road closures, which are expected to last for at least the next 12 hours. Disaster management teams are also searching for 3 people reported missing in the different areas affected by the rains. Mali's ruling junta announced a delay to a presidential election scheduled for February that was aimed at returning civilian leaders to power. The junta's spokesman, Abdoulaye Maiga, said in a press statement on Monday that the presidential election, initially scheduled for a first round on Sunday, February 4th, 2024, and a second round 2 weeks later, will be slightly postponed due to technical reasons. The government official mentioned the adoption of a new constitution this year and the review of the electoral lists as the main reasons for the change. The note also said that the new dates for the elections will be announced later. Since Mali back-to-back putschs in 2020 and 2021, West Africa has seen a series of military coups, including Burkina Faso, Niger, and Guinea. In each case, the militaries have said they were carrying out transitions before a return to the constitutional order.
The transitional government informs the public that it has decided to organize exclusively the presidential election to emerge from the transition. The other elections will certainly be the subject of another calendar, which will be established by the new authorities under the directives of the new President of the Republic. However, the dates of the presidential election initially scheduled for Sunday, February 4, 2024, the first round, and Sunday, February the 18th, 2024, the second round, possibly will be slightly postponed for technical reasons.
We have come to the end of this news brief. You can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For Telesur English, I'm Ana Rosabal. Thank you for watching.